Out again with the new kid on the block, Ben, and his heavy blue pig, the WR450F. I'm not knocking the Yamaha. I used to love my old 2006 model and really enjoyed riding a WR450 again in Cambodia recently.
One foot down.
But wrestling one through some of our favourite tracks, no thanks. While European Enduro 4-strokes just keep getting lighter and lighter, the WR somehow seems to be getting heavier with time. But it doesn't seem to bother Ben. With relatively little experience on modern dirt bikes, he's been doing very nicely on the more technical tracks. And I know this will make me sound like a pedophile, but he's looking smooth as a baby's bum. Most of the time. I have a theory about why his dirt riding skills are coming along so quickly. It turns out he's a pilot for one of our major airlines. Let me bore you senseless with an old story. Our final year in high school and the very first guy to get a car takes us for a drive in his Holden Monaro, the classic muscle car of that era. We, of course, are expecting some hard, fast driving. This guy had already started flying lessons, and his long-term plan was to become a fighter pilot for the Royal Australian Air Force. But it was possibly the most boring car ride in my life. He stays consistently just under the speed limit, checks his mirrors constantly, checks for traffic. Come on, man, we say, smoke those tyres up. Let's see what this baby can do. Nah, he just smiles and says, only on the racetrack. And over the years, the vast majority of pilots I have met were similar in this approach. They were very methodical, precise, keen to learn basic skills and techniques and not jump the gun. This makes sense. I'm sure the airline doesn't really want Ben to try some barrel rolls in his Boeing 737 or weighting and deweighting down the runway, at least not with paying passengers on board. And despite the Tom Cruise stereotype from Top Gun, I suspect most fighter pilots would be the same. And the more top enduro and motocross riders I meet, I'm seeing that same methodical, careful approach. Jarvis is the classic in extreme enduro. He rides smoothly, doesn't rev the bike unless he needs to, almost zero wheel spin. As a result, he often doesn't look fast until you see him cruising past all the Gumbies at warp speed. And I've seen the same thing at recent motocross events, where the top riders make it look so easy. They use less energy, aren't sliding the bike all over the track, and always have the perfect amount of throttle dialed in for traction. So, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, if you really want to work on your dirt riding skills, listen to the top extreme enduro riders who say if you want to learn to ride fast, first learn to ride slow. And to me, this means work on your balance, smooth throttle control, clutch slipping, traction. Don't rev the bike needlessly. You might remember Triple Step, a series of 3 tricky rock ledges. Some 4-wheel drives chewed the middle step out. It's now close to vertical. We haven't been game to try it again until we have a few guys spotting for the rider. But Ben decides to take the WR through. Andrew has trouble even climbing up it to spot for Ben. Remember the log punch technique? It can be used on steep faces like this too. You hit the face about halfway up with your rear wheel. This compresses both the front and rear suspension. The bike literally jumps up the rock face.
Good effort from a standing start.
A tough hill, not too steep, but poor traction. And excuse the dirty, foggy camera lens. This is a hill where so many guys hit the throttle, wheels spin like crazy, wreck the rut, and often loop out. Not Ben. He doesn't make it the first time. Instead of wasting energy, he goes back for a second attempt. Now he knows what is ahead. He keeps the rear wheel weighted, just enough revs and throttle to avoid excessive wheel spin. Nice. Of course, this doesn't suit everyone. Plenty of guys buy a dirt bike because they want to roost, slide and power wheelie their way around easy tracks and pretend to be Ricky Carmichael for a few hours before they go home to mow the lawn and take the garbage out. And that's fine as long as you aren't fucking up technical tracks for everyone else by digging holes or trenches because you lack the necessary skills. And before I sign off, I should also mention Ben has been looking at our Beta 2-strokes and is seriously thinking of buying one now. We'll keep you posted. If so, that shallow grave for anyone who shows us up could be in his near future.